Hey, what's going on, guys? Anthony back here with you with another DIY. This time it's going to be a little bit different. It is Memorial Day weekend here, so the water is probably nice and busy with the boat. So I decided to do a DIY with a home project that I've been wanting to do for a while. We've been doing a lot of gardening in the front, just container gardening, some peppers, some tomatoes, stuff like that. And last year I tried doing an herb box and it really suffered. I had a lot of issues with water retention, too much water here in the rainy summer of Florida. So this year I was going to try to do something a little bit different. So I started looking at different style herb boxes, some kits, some DIY stuff online. And one of the most aesthetic looking ones was a wooden raised herb box. And I really liked that idea. So I started looking at your big box stores and found that they're a couple $100. They can get pretty pricey. I think the cheapest one I found was like $175, somewhere around there, and that doesn't include soil or plants, any of that. So I set out to try to create my own. I'm going to build my own for much less than those big box kits. I think lumber was total like maybe $68, I want to say. And then if you already have the screws and stuff laying around and power tools, it gets really, really cheap to make this. So overall, what we'll need for this project, we're going to need 24 linear feet of 2x4s, 16 linear feet of 1x4s, about 16 linear feet of 1x2s, and 36 total linear feet of 1x6. Now I'm going to be using a different assortment of deck screws that I have, some 3-inchers, some 1 5/8, and maybe even a couple finishing nails. What you're also going to need is some sort of water sealant or finish. I haven't decided what color I want to go with yet, but I'm thinking I'm going to go with Thompson's Water Seal. They make great products, but I'll worry about that once I get it finished and I can see what it actually looks like. Sorry about the wind noise. It's rather windy out here. Like I said, it's Memorial Day weekend, official start of summer. The weather's great. It's nice and warm out. Stay tuned and let's get going. All right, guys, what we're going to do first is we're going to get all the cuts and measurements done and out of the way. That way, once we get into building, we'll have everything ready to go. I do have my cheat sheet plan here of all the cuts and lengths I need to make. I will put the list and cuts and lengths all in the description below so you have a more detailed list. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to start cutting up all this wood, get everything laid out, and we'll be ready to go. All right, guys, so we've got everything cut. As you can see, I've got it all pre-cut, laid out in its respective stacks here. The only thing I did not cut was the 1x4s. Those are going to be used as top trim, and I just want to make sure I'm getting the exact measurements before I cut them, so I'll cut them at the end when I go to put them on. Now, you could have made this process a lot quicker if you had a table saw, a chop saw, a band saw, something like that, but I'm trying to do this on a budget. I just used my hand tools I got, obviously tape measure, speed square. The most expensive thing I got is probably this little battery powered skill saw. I love that thing. It gets me through just about everything. And yeah, so cut everything up. Now let's get ready to build it. All right, guys, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to create the 4 legs of the actual raised bed itself. I'm going to use these 2x4s that I cut to 3 feet. And I'm just going to create 4 L shapes. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to pre-drill these just so I don't get any cracking, and I'm going to throw them together with a 3-inch deck screw. So one thing, guys, I noticed when I was shopping this weekend, I don't know if it's the coronavirus or Memorial Day weekend, people doing lots of home projects, but all I could find was these kind of star-shaped bits for the deck screws. I couldn't find any standard Phillips. Now the good thing is that the box itself comes with this little bit so you can do everything you need when you buy the box. I've used these before. I don't really like them. I prefer a Phillips. But let me know what you guys think. Do you guys prefer the star bits or the Torx, as some may call them? These are Torx 25, I believe. Or do you guys prefer regular Phillips? Let me know in the comments below. All right, guys, as you can see, we've got the 4 L-shaped corners or legs done here. I got them laid out pretty much how they're going to be set. Again, these are 3 feet high, so they're just about waist height on me, which is what I wanted, so I didn't have to bend over too much when gardening or watering. Of course, you can adjust these legs to any length that you really want to fit your style. You can even do this on the ground, I suppose, if you want. But now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and start framing stuff out. Oh, there's that wind again. Framing stuff out so we can go ahead and put these side panels on. What we're going to do now is we're going to go ahead and start putting these 1x6 planks on the inside of these legs, as you can see, and this is going to create our paneled side. I'm going to do 3, so it's going to give me a total depth of about 18 inches, which is good for an herb garden. But one thing you want to make sure of is just pay attention to which way your L is oriented. You want them to be the same on both sides. I went to have the longer side, obviously, for the longer portion of the siding. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pre-drill these again and make sure we don't get any cracks. And then we're going to use 1 5/8" deck screws this time and go ahead and mount these in here. I'm going to do the short sides first, and then hopefully I'll be able to put the 2 sides together by myself, which should be fun. So here we go. All right, guys, next we're going to do the exact same thing. We're going to put these 2 end pieces together with the 3-foot sections of 1x6. Same method. Again, making sure these outer slats are nice and tight up against each other. And we'll go ahead and get both sides done now. One thing I want to do before putting in the second set of screws here is I want to make sure that it's square. So I'm going to measure the top portion of the legs and the bottom portion of the legs. That way, if I need to make any adjustments in or out, I can before I put this second screw in and it's really solidified. So I'm about a 1/2 inch difference from the top and the bottom. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pinch these together before I tighten everything down. One side is done. What we're going to do is go ahead and flip this over, opposite side, do the same exact thing, and then we should be able to stand it upright and see what it looks like so far. All right, guys, so here is the semi-finished box. It's starting to look more like a box now. You can see these inside panels leave almost no screws on the outside. Like I said, it's about waist height for me. This was what I wanted. You can adjust the height accordingly. I mean, I'm not going to have it all the way filled up with soil either. I'm going to put some other compost and stuff in the bottom to help eliminate having to fill this whole thing up. But I wanted it to be about 18 inches and about 3 feet high for me. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go ahead and flip this over, and we're actually going to frame out the bottom so we can lay the bottom slats in. Let's go. All right, guys, so this next part might take a little bit of finesse. I didn't really think this through, to be all honest. So what the purpose of these is going to basically hold the bottom slats from the underside. So I'll be able to put the slats here. Now what I didn't think about is how I was really going to attach them. As you can see, there's very little leeway here. I'll show you a side view. So there's not much, and then whenever you're drilling into a side of a board like this, especially a 1-inch, it can get very tricky because it's so thin and it'll crack. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to use real small drill bits, kind of work my way up if I have to, and I might even try to find a little bit smaller screws. But basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to have this so a majority of it is hanging over. You can put it so where it's all the way if you'd like this nice flush finish here. But for the aesthetics, I want to have it just a hair over, so you can see there's a little bit of a lip. So what I'll do is I'll just set it on, measure it, make sure it's kind of even across. The wind's terrorizing me still, as you can see. But yeah, let's go ahead and see what we can do with this. All right, so that kind of worked perfect. I used a real small drill bit, I forget what it was, and then I kind of stepped up to an 1/8 inch drill bit. That way I can get this screw in successfully. Ensure that you're actually getting the screw in the center and not kind of off to the side, and you don't want it coming at an angle, or else you're going to end up sending it through the board like this. So yeah, let's go ahead and get these other ones on. Just so you know, you might have saw me measuring. What I did is I took a 1/2 inch overhang on the inside. That leaves just a little on the outside for kind of aesthetic looks. So a 1/2 inch, I'm going to do that all the way around, and that should be enough to be able to set the bottom panels on. So let's go ahead and get the other 3 sides done. All right guys, so here's what the inside will look like. Again, all the panels are laid out. One thing I did forget to mention is if you use these measurements, you're gonna have a little gap here. So what I'm gonna do is just use some remaining 1x2s. I'm gonna go ahead and put these in there. What I'm gonna do though is I'm gonna put these in the middle. That way they don't necessarily have that tiny little piece trying to be secured to that lip. I'll put them in the middle and slide these 1x6s over. Alright guys, so here's what the inside looks like. So I got everything laid out, had to drill it all and then screw it in. It's not the prettiest. You can see some of the spaces. I didn't put the screws all the way in. Some of them are hanging out just a bit, just to prevent any cracking. I really didn't want to crack any of these boards on this very edge here. But again, it doesn't matter what it looks like because this is all gonna be filled with dirt. In addition, what we're going to do is we're going to staple some landscape paper in and around, and what that's going to do is allow for water drainage and eliminate any of the compost or sand or topsoil, whatever have you, from leaking out the bottom. It also just gives this wood a little bit more protection from the actual plants growing in it. So what we're going to do now, we're going to go ahead and take those 1x4s and we're going to frame this out. Like I said, I saved the cutting of these 1x4s for last because I wanted to make sure I was getting them just right for this dimension. So what we'll do now is we'll go ahead and cut them with 45-degree angles, make sure they look nice and pretty, and then we'll go ahead and set them on here and secure them. Show you a perfect example of measure twice, cut once, as they always say. I thought it was 40 on the dot. As you can see, it is not. So I think I have enough to be able to turn these into the shorter pieces and then go ahead and recut the longer ones to the proper length this time. But it wouldn't be a DIY if you weren't learning lessons along the way. Guys, so I finally got some good weather to finish up the box and this video. It's been a few days running. As you can see, we finally got some nice sunny weather here. I'm working on a couple other house projects, but I just wanted to show you a finished project. I got it in place here. I got it soiled up and threw a few herbs in here. Got some Italian oregano, some rosemary, lavender, and a couple variations of thyme. Overall, this was a super easy project. I know some woodworkers out there might have some much better tips and tricks to make things easier, and if you do, by all means let us know in the comments below. Maybe some of us can learn from it. But my whole idea with this video and this project was to do it super cheap, or relatively cheap, and pretty easy. As you can see, I did it in my backyard, just a few hand tools, and you learn lessons along the way. I learned some stuff that I would do differently, some stuff that really worked out for me, but overall very happy with the product. It looks great back here. It's going to be very functional, and yeah, just a fun little intro to DIY gardening here. I do have a couple other plans. I'm going to make probably a whole nother square foot garden over in the corner of my yard. So if y'all want to see how I do that, go ahead and let me know. Like the video, subscribe, and maybe we can get some more DIY gardening videos going here. Thanks everybody for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you next time.